Here we go, everybody. Let's talk about some stuff. I've noticed this weird thing, right? So, peculiar thing. Those of you who have been into either fruitarianism or raw veganism or veganism or anything like that in the past, you may have noticed this trend where numerous of your friends and people you know on the internet have stopped doing that and gone towards eating all manner of animal products. And that's something that just happens, right? But the weird thing about that is a fair number of them, and they always do it in a really showboaty way. They go right from like of course, generally they did poorly on whatever diet they were on because of following the CIA shillery that they didn't understand was shillery from the top gurus in the vegan and raw vegan movement. They followed that information, and so the vegan doctor totally narrative driven and kosher studies and interpretations of everything, and so they followed all that stuff and naturally failed because that's all Rockefeller psyop stuff, right? So they had no way to succeed. Just like if you go into any diet, if you follow like the shillery at the top from the gurus, you're going to fail no matter what diet it is. Even if it's theoretically the perfect diet, they found some way to subvert it, right? But anyways, so your friends did that, and now they do it in a really showboaty way. They start eating lots of liver. They go really, and organ meats and raw brain. They go really deep into the shillery on the other side. It's like people going from extremes to extremes. But I'm not even going to say extremes because it's not extreme. It's just stupid. It's not like something that was literally put into a movement as part of like a global elite psyop to make everyone weak and sick. So they've infiltrated pretty much every diet fad movement on the planet over the years. Following that is not going to an extreme. It's simply not being able to recognize shillery because you're stupid. So they go straight deep into the Weston A. Price Foundation, Dr. Mercola, and the various celebrities and people that are pushing those ideas. Like, for example, Michaela Peterson, the meat and pharmaceutical medications diet that she follows, with maybe a little bit of salt and olive oil. So just some examples. And so anyways, I got these friends, right? Some of you might know who think of examples of these people. You know, maybe 5, 10 years ago, they were all posting about their banana smoothies and stuff, how they were raw vegan, it was great, they were so healthy. And now they're posting videos of, okay, one guy who I know, I just saw him eating a plate of raw liver and raw heart and raw eggs in a cup, right? Tremendously toxic amount of various things that aren't really vitamins and minerals that you don't really need that are toxic if you get too much of them. But anyways, that are concentrated in those specific things, which we never ate that much of in the past, if you're honest about our ancestry and stuff. And then another guy I know who was actually here at Fruit Haven, and he left, and then I see him posting a video of eating like a raw cow brain and strawberry smoothie. No, it was raw cow brain and no, it was raw cow brain and strawberry. And then another guy who was also at Free Haven in the past and left, and I saw him a video again. They're showboaty about it. A video of eating raw liver and blueberry smoothie. And yeah, I mean the people you see on the paleo diet with red faces. You know, you can find a study showing red face to be a symptom of vitamin A toxicity, retinol toxicity in the liver. But whatever. It's stupid because why are you eating the filtration organ of the animal, the one most toxic organ of the animal? Like the animal consumes all these plant toxins, and they're in the liver, and the liver is doing this good job dumping the stuff into the gallbladder, and then dumping it into the large intestine so it can kind of get absorbed by the fiber in the intestine and the colon and make its way out of the body. So the cow is like got all this nasty stuff, not just the natural plant toxins, of which there are many, for example, beta carotene, but also all the other stuff, but also if they're grain finished, which they all are, even when you buy Whole Foods 100% grass fed, they're still grain finished because that's what they're allowed to say. Anyway, so what do you think all that glyphosate in the corn that they're finished with to make them fat goes? It goes into the cow's liver. One of the things the liver does is to detoxify glyphosate. So the liver is storing glyphosate because of course it doesn't even know what glyphosate is. Hell. So it has to store whatever it can't eliminate. So it eliminates what it can slowly through the bile, but a lot of it's staying in the liver. So the cow's liver is accumulated a lot of nasty things. What is it very high in? Probably I would say whatever form of retinol the liver stores. Lots and lots of copper, lots and lots of glyphosate, and a number of other things. Right. And you're eating that, right? Why? It's like when the urine therapy, urine drinker people are like, well, the kidneys are not a filtration organ. Well, what are they for, anyways? They're not a filtration organ. But then when you show them the spectrographic analysis study of urine and I'll point out all the toxins that are in it, they're like, oh, well, recirculation. So obviously you need some recirculation because you can't get everything out of your body that your organs are trying to detox, right? It's natural that you're going to have some recirculation, but you don't want to try to give yourself more recirculation. And even worse, you don't want to take the stuff that's already on its way out of another animal. It's already in the filtration organ waiting to be eliminated, and you eat that and put it in your own body. So not just are you drinking your piss and recirculating the various toxins that are in your piss, according to various studies, which clearly show the chemicals in your piss, and you're recirculating that, and then you're also recirculating the toxins from another animal into your body by eating livers and kidneys, which are filtration organs. It's crazy. So for some reason, people go from shillery to shillery. They go from CIA PSYOP to CIA PSYOP. They can't see what they don't understand. That's all they're doing is literally just following the CIA. When I say CIA, I mean like every three-letter agency and all the global elite families that control the early nutrition studies and really just fool people and infiltrate and subvert every modern fad diet movement, so that no matter what fad diet you're following, if you follow the gurus and talking heads and what they're saying uninquisitively, you're going to get sick and fail after a few years, guaranteed. And there's so many people, unfortunately, that are failing, and you see it. You don't want to tell them because they're totally in denial. Like I know one guy that had a really, really, really serious mental breakdown, and he doesn't blame it on his diet at all. It's more just stress into life or past mental issues that he had to work through, and it doesn't even think about the fact that his diet contains high levels of several toxins which are related strongly with mental illness. In fact, some studies show them to be causative to certain types of mental illnesses, which he had. But yeah, you can't. Those people, they're on a different world. It's already too far for them. You can't help them usually, right? They have to find something on their own or just fail, and you just have to watch their health deteriorate for years and crumble away. So it's kind of sad, but what are you going to do, right? Just help the people you can help and worry about the people that are worth worrying about. So anyways. Where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so these guys that they're all really trendy raw vegan or just regular vegan, but then next thing you know, they're really trendy following the PSYOP, Mossad, CIA, Rockefeller, shills, Rothschild, whatever words you can get. This guy was talking today in the group chat, the communities we have. He was like, "Who's in charge of the world? USA president or Pope Vatican?" Like, what the heck? We're past arguing about which specific group, tribe of elites is controlling everything. It's literally just a cartel of the world's richest crime families. There's not one person. Like, some people are like, it's the Queen of England. They point to all this like obscure treaties that show that she technically still controls half the world. Get off that already. All we have is basically warlords, like the richest crime families, kind of working together, but kind of also battling for power. When Bill Gates went really, really hard and strong and overreached, and then next thing you know, they're taking Bill Gates down in the media saying he had all these affairs and was a womanizer, and he gets out of the spotlight. You think that wasn't really like kind of like a war between the high crime families? Let's get Bill out of the picture. He's had his slice of the pie is too big now, right? So that happened. Anyway, so these guys are eating all this liver and this brain and these raw organs, and it's like they always told the same line, like, you got to eat the organs meats to be really healthy. And I feel like I shouldn't even be talking about this because there's so many resources you can look at to find out why these liver and kidney are so toxic to eat. But whatever, just to kind of touch on it. They're like, oh, the narrative is basically that you have to eat all the organs. They're healthy. They're actually healthier than the muscle meat. But then in World War II, they'll also tell you, people mainly eat muscle meat, but the government needed lots of meat to send to the soldiers overseas, and there was a meat shortage, and they're like, they need to try to figure out how to get people to eat more organs so they could make use of more of the animals that were going to waste in the slaughterhouses. So they were like, let's put out all this propaganda. So they started putting out cookbooks to the housewives in the 1940s and the 1950s afterwards. It was like liver dumplings and liver stew and kidney pie and all this stuff, and they were trying to really push it, and it worked, and people started eating a lot more organs. So wait, which is it? Is it that organs are really healthy and we should eat a lot of them to be healthy because they have all these nutrients? Or is it something the government literally pushed on people because organs taste so crappy and are full of toxins that people naturally did not want to eat lots of them? They just ate the muscle meat. So the government had to step in and get them to start eating the organs. But now all these guys following the shills at the top of the paleo and whatever else movement, the Weston A. Price, whatever, are just kind of like, well, it's good for you. It's got all these nutrients in it. Yeah, all right. Got lots of toxic chemicals in it as well, right? And hell, that's probably partly why the government was so happy to push it on people, because they're like, oh, that was right when like the industrialized healthcare system was all getting started. They realized how much money they could make off of sick people. So like, oh, it's another way we can make people sick, get them to eat tons of liver, tell them the liver's healthy. And now Western A Price is like, oh, liver's healthy. And now that this guy is on my Facebook, these young guys in their 20s are like ex-raw vegan, and now they're like, oh, this liver smoothie is healthy. I'm getting all this, now they have like red faces and stuff, not from sunburn. So look at like Lauren Cordain and a lot of these like top paleo people, and even some of your paleo friends who are actually doing keto, and a lot of their faces are red, like red. It's just because their livers are very toxic, because they're following the shillery advice. Their friends who might be following that diet, but who are naturally listening to their body's instincts and aren't eating liver and stuff, and aren't taking cod liver oil, and aren't taking a bunch of weird supplements like ox bile and all this really toxic crap, if they don't have red faces and they're doing much better. So you might be thinking at this point, why is he talking about liver for all this time and meat and what the paleo, why does he care about this? Doesn't he want his friends who were ex-vegan and went to the paleo diet, doesn't he want them to all just fail and die because they're not even vegans anymore? They were just plant-based. They were never even vegan and all that stuff. I don't subscribe to all that crap. In the end, if you have friends who are kind of like with you and share your political ideas and they're against the New World Order and they want to see various political elites tried and hung just as strongly as you do. And the only thing different between you and them is they started to eat meat again because they followed all these shills, and the shills didn't do them well, and now they're following different shills, and those shills aren't doing them well. Isn't it kind of your duty as a friend to be like, hey, dude, think about this for a second. Like if you're gonna be eating animal products, don't do it in the stupid CIA, Mossad, Rockefeller, Rothschild, corrupt shill science way. Do it, in a way that actually will get you healthy, right? And of course, like I've said in previous videos, people always will change to a different diet, fix the problems immediately, other problems arise, switch to a different diet 5 or 8 or 10 years later, fail, other problems arise, switch to a different diet, solve those problems really quick. There are mechanisms and reasons for all that, and it shouldn't really happen. So that's why I'm spending all this time talking about liver right now. I kind of got into a little rant about it, but it's also something I started realizing after seeing all these signs over the years about things like that, and now all these people starting to talk about vitamin A and how it's not really a vitamin, and other toxins like copper and boron and things that they're lying to us about and telling us that it's necessary and selling people supplements for, and even the raw vegan people talking about those nutrients. You should eat this because it's a great source of this, and don't worry about not getting enough of this, and eat lots of nightshades, lots of tomatoes, and red juicy this and that, and tomato juice, and tomato this, and dehydrated tomato sauce, and tomatoes every day, all day long. And there's no nightshade disrespect among raw vegans. There's very little seed oil disrespect because a lot of them still eat seeds, and they're still filling themselves with toxic crap in the same way that a lot of these paleo guys who, again, follow the shills, you could... Yeah, I was going to list a bunch of shills from both the diets, but you already know who they are, right? You already know who they all are. You've already heard their names many times on the internet. And so, obviously, remember that thing? There's like that kind of like fake psyop, false dichotomy debate they were pushing on the internet some years ago? Like 5 years ago, all these vegans were arguing about like Gary versus Gary, the abolitionist versus whatever, apologist, it was like Gary Francione and Gary Yourofsky or whatever. They both had these iconic speeches where they were talking about whatever, and their followers were like really getting mad at each other, and it was causing all this division. It really had all the markings of a shill psyop by these sort of celebrities who were put in these places by the algorithms of social media. And everyone was supposed to pick a side, and if you took part in those debates and still think you're on one of those sides or the other, it's a false dichotomy. You're stupid. I kind of fell for it too for a little while back then when I was all into that kind of stuff. In the end, your friend who was an ex-vegan is now eating liver and brain smoothies, and his health is going to catch up with him. Like, yeah, he just fixed his zinc and DHA deficiency, great, and iron and whatever other issues he had that caused him to decide I'm not going to do this raw vegan or fruitarian or vegan WFPB diet anymore. I'm going to do this instead. Whatever issues caused him to do that, he's fixed those issues in the short term, but then there are going to be other issues in the long term. So he's going to, especially if they're taking fish oil supplements and stuff like that, if they're taking a bunch of random supplements like B6, you can give yourself neuropathy by taking, anyways, whatever. So your friend who's doing that, right, if he's healthy, let's just accept for a moment he's eating animals, and there's you as a diehard ALF, Antifa, ethical vegan can't do anything about that, right? You maybe think you can, or you're just going to be mad at him, but in the end, he's just going to keep eating animals for probably the next 10 to 50 years, right? And, well, don't you want him to be healthy? Because if he's healthy, he's going to do better in life in general, and he's going to have more money to spend, because everyone knows that cheap meat is Frankenstein, GMO, maltreated animals raised in tiny sheds and slaughtered at 6 weeks, and people who have lots of money are eating the fake free-range, fake grass-fed stuff that's a little bit better, and people with tons of money are raising their own. Of course, that makes you broke, but to start off, they have tons of money. Then they spend it all and go broke, but then they're raising their own animals, right? And some vegans have their head so far in the clouds, and they're on such an ego trip, and they pretend to care about the animals, but they don't see the big picture, and they'll rather just disown that friend. Rather than seeing the big picture, be like, wait, he is my ally against the global elites. He is one of my greatest allies. And I will throw him in, I'll just forget about him because of my famous quote that I troll on all of the ex-vegan threads on Facebook. I'm speaking the other person's voice now, not mine. Which is, you were never vegan, you were just plant-based and da-da-da, and that's it, right? It makes sense doesn't it make sense that your friend should be healthy even if he's eating animal products? Kind of push him in the right direction. Like, hey, you're following these dumb shills at the top of these movements who are pushing poisons on you. Maybe you should think about that a little bit and look at some more alternative viewpoints and think maybe you shouldn't be drinking raw liver. Listen, if you're going to eat raw meat, whatever, but eat raw muscle meat, not raw organs, because heck, the kidney and the liver are the most toxic things you can eat in the animal, right? So, yeah, again, I know some of you who are eating liver right now or watching this video are kind of like thinking about all these rebuttals to that. Well, yeah, but the liver is the first organ that the wild animals eat. The liver is this and that. Those are all really stupid arguments that I can debunk in half a second, but I don't want to go all through them right now because there's other videos where other people have done that. So I'm saying you should be looking for that information or pushing your friends to look for that information. So that way when your friend is like, ex-raw vegan, da-da-da-da-da, raw cow brain and liver and blueberry smoothie, you can be like, hey, like, think about this. You've gone from one CIA psyop to another, you know? Think about this and what are you doing? And, you know, and they're probably going to still eating animal products, but maybe they can do so in a way that doesn't plummet their health downwards, right? That's what I got to say about that, because I've seen a lot of people kind of disowning people on Facebook over the last 10 years. Those of you who are have a firm grip on reality and observe things and accept them, see, yes, there are tons of people. Every fad diet is a revolving door, and the vegan diet, I'm sorry, but there is a diet aspect to it, and that's what I'm talking about, right? The vegan diet, just like the raw vegan diet and the fruitarian diet and the whole foods plant-based diet and the T. Colin, McDougall, McGregor, whatever, all these people thrown together, all their diets, the things they recommend to eat. Totally just lost my train of thought there. Whatever. You get what I'm saying, right? So all those people are promoting a bunch of stuff, and there's other people promoting a bunch of different stuff, and some of that stuff is bad, and some people are following it and their health is failing, partly because the advice is bad, partly because various issues that they have, but usually it's because if you start to really get into this stuff and see how Bill Gates is connected into everything I'm talking about and how the WEF is connected into some of the stuff that I'm talking about and start looking at these connections, you start to realize, oh yeah, these guys that I've respected for all these years, they really are globalist shills, right? So, and then that brings us to this other idea I had, right? Before I go into this other idea, so I guess what I was talking about, probably lost my train of thought on, is people want to throw their friends away. I've seen it all over Facebook. They just want to disown people and forget about them. They're not worth it anymore. But meanwhile, everyone they interact with every single day is not a vegan, right? All their coworkers, all their most of them, their families, everyone, their neighbors. You know, not even a lot. And they treat those people fine. They get along with them. But when it's some guy on the internet that was vegan and now is not anymore, there's like up in arms and crazy, don't even want to talk. Well, that guy is, like I said, a lot of times, if that guy is your ally or that girl is your ally against the global elites, right? That's someone you want to stay in contact, someone that is still valuable to you, and someone that you want to be healthy. Even if they're eating animal products, you still want them to be healthy because, hell, even if you don't care about them, it still benefits the animals that they're eating, that they're healthy, because then they're going to make better decisions on those animals, right? Like I said, they're going to become rich all of a sudden because their health got way better and they can do a lot more work and think more clearly and they have more money now. They're going to make decisions and and they're going to be buying animals that were, yeah, horribly, brutally slaughtered, but not after spending 6 weeks in a dark room with 3,000 other chickens sprayed with antibiotics every day, right? If you don't think that's a decision that you should be making, you're probably stupid, right? You have this really bizarre, not firm at all grip on reality. Things to think about, food for thought. See where I am on time. I have to enter this really complicated slide code on my phone. We're getting into 20 minutes right now. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, so like quantitative veganism versus qualitative or sentimentalist veganism. And so that gets into the thing where when you say vegan and people have a vegan diet, they're like, well, it's not a diet, angry face. It's a lifestyle. But then if you actually look up the word vegan in the dictionary, there's literally 2 definitions, and one of them is just diet, like a diet that excludes animal products. So it's like, sorry, but I'm talking about it as a diet when I say that word, right? And some dictionaries also have the Donald Watson definition, but the first problem is vegans are using this kind of, this mistake, this semantics mistake called bypassing, where they're using one definition of word and just assuming and expecting and forcing you to use the exact same definition, but really the definition of word in general is kind of forced upon you by society, not the other way around. You as a minority don't get to say how everyone else defines a word. In fact, you're not going to have beneficial conversations or fruitful conversations by pushing your way through on that thing. So it's like, okay, when someone's talking about vegan, they're talking about not eating animal products. They're not talking about all the other stuff. Second of all, most of the vegans who talk about all the other stuff as a lifestyle are very hypocritical because they really just pay attention to their own lives, to the food, the diet, and a few little other things. The leather clothing, right? They're not wearing leather gloves and leather jackets, and maybe a couple little tiny other. Maybe they do a little bit of activism, and that's it, right? But all the other aspects of the Babylonian lifestyle, they tuck into the Donald Watson corner of practical and possible and practicable. And you're like, what about all these animals that die because of this industrial modern Babylon lifestyle you're living in the suburbs, right? Or in the city? Like, well, that's nitpicking. I can't change all that. That's just, we do what we can for now. And veganism's Donald Watson says possible and practical. So they tuck, so there's just the little tiny quantity of animals that they don't eat and they don't wear. Everything else they just kind of tuck into the Donald Watson corner and forget about, because they're not masters of not harming animals. They're masters of moving the harm out of their field of vision, right? So if I look at one of my Ecuadorian neighbors, it's funny, sometimes people come here to the community and they're all like, oh yeah, hopefully someday we can convert all these Ecuadorians to veganism, kind of like it's a religion or something. And it's like, look at those neighbors. They're already more vegan than you, right? So this old guy that lives in a wood shack and he has a horse and some cows and some chickens and he eats them, sure. Not the horse, but he eats the chickens and the cows and whatever, and he exploits the horse to pull some wood every once in a while when he's building a house for his family member or something. And so he's directly harming animals, but he has nothing tucked into the Donald Watson corner. Consumes almost nothing. Goes on the bus once in a while. Doesn't own a vehicle. So his fuel consumption is almost nothing. He uses very little of industrial products except maybe his clothes and a few tools that he has. So people in the United States can't even comprehend such a limited existence, such a poor existence, because they've never been to the third world and they don't see that. And so this guy, when I say quantitative, right, if you actually look at the math, if you actually care about harming less animals, he's harming way less animals than anyone who's living in their suburban or city apartment angrily hashtagging stuff about veganism on the internet, how it's a lifestyle, not a diet, and this and that. They're ironically are ignoring the whole lifestyle part for themselves. It only matters when they're virtue signaling. It doesn't matter in their actual life. So, the point I'm making about all this is like, what's the point of getting all emotional about it on the internet when really there's this guy living in the jungle who never even heard of veganism and kills animals regularly, but he's still quantitatively, he's more vegan than you will ever be because he spent his entire life living that. So even if you immediately tomorrow trashed your lifestyle, took everything out of the Donald Watson, all the skeletons out of your Donald Watson closet and aired them out and was like, all right, I'm going to live sustainably and da-da-da. And even though, yeah, I know cities are important for modern civilization, this and that, but because I really care about the animals, like I've been posting on the internet constantly for the last 15 years, I'm going to do this. I'm going to live a really low-tech lifestyle. And if you start doing that now, you still have all that crap you did for the last however many years of your life. And this guy I'm talking about who literally kills and eats animals almost every day, he's still, his kill count is probably hundreds or thousands of animals less than yours, right? We're talking about kill count now, right? Because really, what else are we talking about? Are you really going to measure veganism via virtue signaling and how much you post sentimental, how convincing how emotional you feel about it? That's literally how most people measure their veganism, is how emotional they feel about it, right? And so it's funny when people come here and they're all like, not everybody, just a few people once in a while, and they're kind of, oh, we should try to host vegan events and try to get these people to go vegan. It's like, dude, sorry. Like their entire life, they've been, quantitatively speaking, way more vegan than you. The only difference is emotionally. You're emotionally way more vegan and way more upset about it. You don't realize, you're blinded by your emotions. You can't think rationally that you've killed way more animals through your very existence and your lifestyle than this person will ever kill in their entire life. So you'll never catch up to the insane level of veganism that the guy that kills animals every single day has achieved. You understand? And if you can't accept that, the superior logic of my argument, why are you even listening to my videos, right? I just say stuff like that, and some people get mad at it, right? But I'm just talking about mathematics, because really, what is an emotional argument? It's you feeling sad about and getting angry about something. Right, let's just look at the number of animals that are killed by the lifestyle choices and the industrial machinery required, and all the land clearing and the continual land clearing and the building of new factories to satisfy the new demand, and all the lithium and the rare earth metals and the crude oil, and the worst, the international travelers. They're like, I'm an international traveler. I have a blog. I love seeing so many countries. I love learning about new cultures. I've been to 38 different countries, and this year I'm going to go to Malta, and next year I'm going to go to New Zealand, and oh my God, Thailand was so great. Let's talk for 30 hours about all the cities we've been to in Thailand. And anyways, those people burn so much jet fuel because they don't fly between, they do a lot of busing and stuff, which again, they do a lot of busing, which burns a lot of diesel, but also they're like flying in planes around the world multiple times a year and burning, if you look up that totally bunk shill nonsense global warming carbon footprint stuff, still you see that the jet fuel burned by planes is ridiculous. You have such an insane environmental footprint by flying in a plane even once. People in the third world will live their entire lives without using anywhere near as much fuel as you used flying on a jet plane once, right? So the international travelers, it's the height of irony when they come here and they look at the Ecuadorians and they're like, let's have more vegans buying land in this area. We want to have more vegan neighbors. Like, sorry, dude, like, you don't get it yet. Someday they'll get it, Someday they'll get it. Kind of like, okay, there's this guy in Costa Rica, there's a farm that was kind of promoted as sort of a raw vegan community. Anyway, it was mainly about fruit. It was like a guy wanting to grow a lot of fruit. He was mostly fruitarian, but it said on the website, by the way, I catch a fish in the stream maybe once a week and I eat it, cook it and eat it. If you have a problem with that, don't come, And some people were actually complaining about that online. They were like, well, I was going to go to this place in Costa Rica, but it's not even vegan. Why does he need to eat that fish? You can get omega-3s from flax and chia and It's that kind of thing, but it's like, those people don't get it. For them, it's all about emotions. And that guy, I know him, he hasn't flown on a plane ever since, as far as I know, he's taken like 2 plane flights his entire life. And he lives on a farm in the middle of the rural area. He consumes nothing, pretty much. And these people are like, he's made it his mission to have a very low impact on the environment. Environmental impact is directly correlated to killing animals. So people who have a huge environmental impact because of being international travelers or living in some U.S. city or suburb or something, so they're just killing tons and tons of animals, are constantly being killed because of their lifestyle. I don't know, comparing that to what it would be, comparing that to how many that are killed by their diet, I don't know. They're both big numbers, right? And hard to exactly quantify. But in the end, yeah. So don't be that person who looks at somebody who has really, their kill count is almost nothing compared to yours. So their kill count is in the hundreds and yours is in the tens of thousands. And you're like, maybe I can talk to this guy and convert him to veganism. Or your friend on the internet who's all like, just went ex-vegan, and you're like, don't even want to talk to him anymore. You're like, well, you just did that to get money from the advertising company that paid him to do a YouTube video about it. I know how this works. And you were never vegan in the first place. You were just plant-based. So I think every ex-vegan should get like a plaque on their wall, like an award that says that quote. It's just like, if you're watching this video and you're one of the ex-vegan guys that I was talking about, even if you're one of the idiots who are eating raw liver smoothies, truly stupid thing to do, even if you were doing that, you should still get a picture frame, hang on the wall, and print out like a certificate thing that's like a quote that says, like, only plant-based award, and the quote underneath it that says, you were never vegan in the first place, you were only plant-based, and then like sign it like internet vegans, right? Because that's like your award, right, for going through all that. Anyways, at this point, probably not making sense to anybody anymore. I probably lost most of my subscribers after this video. That's okay. I'll just keep trudging along and probably killing less animals than you. So make sure you go to fruithaven.org and my website, yourbrainonfruit.com. I should probably update it one of these days. It's still got some interesting stuff on there. And yeah, the Amazon Fruit Festival. You should come here, eat a lot of fruit. Lots of delicious, great fruits. And we have a raw vegan chef and a massage therapist and yoga classes and permaculture classes. And you can check out all the land that's for sale in this area and see if you want to spend the apocalypse with us. Because most of us are pretty cool people to spend the apocalypse with. Really, you know? Like, yeah, I mean, who else are you going to spend the apocalypse with, right? Anyways, have a great day, folks.